I'm Tamima and welcome to the Real Talk Round Table. Now, in today's world, most young people are advised go to school, graduate, establish a career, get financially stable, and then choose to get married. Now, the reality is that there's some young people who are defying the status quo. They are choosing to get married young. Well, today on the show, my guest will be sharing with us why they chose to get married young. Stick around.
He asked me to move in with him so that I can be able to save. So that's when we moved in together. And then that's when we decided to be serious, like totally serious.
I don't think you're ever ready for a kid.
Do you understand the purpose of marriage? Do you understand what you are about to start?
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, let me introduce my first guest. I have Chris Wirtz and Beatrice Nduter. Chris is 24, Beatrice is 23, and they're a young couple with twin babies. So they're just going to be letting us know why they chose to get together and actually start a family very young. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
So, Chris, you're 24, she's 23, and you have twins, 5 months now?
Yeah.
Boy and a girl.
They're turning 5 tomorrow.
Okay. So for a lot of guys, that's pretty young. And I'm sure you get that reaction a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So maybe let's start with how the two of you met. Nani alikatia mwenzake hapa? Nani aliingiza mwenzake box? Chris.
So, it started like this. I got a call from someone. I didn't know who it was at that time. Then I went to WhatsApp and started checking out. Then I found it was B. So that's why I started.
So B wendo ulimvutia waya?
Literally, lakini hii kwa intention yangu kumkatia, lakini usema mimi ndo nilimkatia.
Right.
So my story is my cousin, I was in high school, so my cousin just came from a midterm break, and then she dared me. I saw his brother and him like a photo on the gallery, and I was like, oh, who are these kid boys? And then he was like, they're my friends. And then she dared me, will you text them? And I'm like, I'll do it. Then I texted
well, he has a twin brother.
Yeah. So she gave me Chris's number. So that's when I texted Chris as a dare. And then when I called, he didn't pick up. So that's when he got my missed call, and then he called back. And now that's when he started calling and texting.
So you guys started off as friends, just calling and texting.
Yeah.
Calling and texting.
And several years later now, calling and texting is twin babies.
Imagine.
So tell me what happened in between. When did you guys know that, you know what, this is serious?
So, actually we started talking in 2015 and we met in 2017 officially for the first time. So that whole time she was...
So you were talking for 2 years?
Yeah,
Chris?
for 2 whole years. She was ghosting me the whole 2 years.
Right.
Then in the end she decided we met.
Okay.
But the whole time she was like snobbing, ghosting, all that.
So why did you ghost him for 2 years? It took the man 2 years to see you physically.
Yeah, because it started off as a day and I didn't know him, so he kept on calling and I was like, ilikuwa 2 jokes. So I was still in campus. He would text me, I wouldn't reply. He would call me and tell him, let's meet up, and then I would ghost him. And then that's when I decided, I was actually going back to school in the evening. Then he called, and then I picked up and was like, hey, be uko up? And I was like, I'm in town. And he also told me, I'm in town, let's hook up. And then that's when we met.
And so you were both in Nairobi at the time?
Yeah.
And what was the first meeting like?
It was simple. By the way.
It was
It was so
Nimpeleka
simple.
date wapi, Chris?
Ilikuwa Koja. No, Koja.
Nimpeleka date
Sanford.
Koja. Sanford.
Sanford, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
Sanford.
Sanford. Then we had
Sanford was the first
bhajias.
day.
Yeah, then we ate bhajias. Yeah.
And
it was actually at 6 p.m. because I was on my way to school.
Right.
Yeah.
But was it like a date? I mean, it was just like we're just hanging out.
Yeah.
It was like hanging out. As in we had not planned it,
Yeah.
you know, but we had planned it. So it was, we met for only for around 1 hour.
Yeah, for just 1 hour.
For 1 hour, then we departed.
Okay,
Then
but
it
clearly that 1 hour made an impression.
Yeah.
A big one.
So tell me, B, how was that not a date for you?
Because when he called, I didn't know that atakuwa town, so it was just random, and then that's when we met, and then I was like, oh, this guy is fine. And then that's when we started talking. We'll meet because he used to hang out with his brother on skate park.
Yeah.
So we would go and hang out there, and then the next thing he proposed, like, can you be my girlfriend? And then that's when I became his girlfriend.
Oh wow, so you asked her formally to be your girlfriend.
Yeah, I had to.
So what was it that convinced you that she has to be your girlfriend?
She was pretty. she's still pretty even now, but as in our conversations seem to match up, and I don't know how to say this, but as in it was different, you know. If you've ever met other, as in I wasn't dating before. I didn't have a serious relationship before, but when we started talking, I felt as if she was the one, kind of.
Okay. And what about him struck you, and you're like, you know what, fine, I'm willing to be his girlfriend?
We had a mutual connection. Like, there's so many similarities we have, like the jokes. And I was like, this guy, we are connecting. And then he will understand me if I ask for anything. If I ask him to come at this time, he'll come. So I was like,
okay. So nice. There you guys are, you're dating, and at that point, seriously dating, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'd say that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And at some point now you decided, you know what, now things need to get a bit more serious.
Yeah.
So what conversations were you having at that stage of dating?
Actually, what happened is where he lived, once I cleared my campus, I got a job, an internship just near his place. So he asked me to move in with him so that I can be able to save. So that's when we moved in together. And then that's when we decided to be serious, like totally serious. Yeah.
So you guys then decide to move in together. So where are your parents? Because I can imagine at that point you're how old?
21.
You're 21 and he's
22.
And you're deciding you want to move in together. Yeah. And Chris, you're the one who brought up that idea.
Yeah.
So what was going through your head when he's asking you to move in with him?
I didn't know it would turn out seriously, because I used to go like there on weekends, because he used to live with his brother. So normally before I even started going to work, I would go for during the weekends, and my mom was okay with him because she knew him.
Okay.
So she was cool.
When now you told her that you guys are moving in together, what about for you?
For me it was easy. Just had to tell her, you know, your work is closer to my place, so come over.
So that was your key motivation, that it'll be comfortable for her if you guys are living together.
And I wanted her to be more comfortable, you know.
And what about your parents? Like, did your parents or your family have anything to say about it?
Not really.
Right.
Yeah.
So you guys then move in together, and how did that go at first?
I'd say it wasn't easy, because while living with a person, especially Chris, I'm just going to be honest.
Okay,
he's
Chris,
so
what did you do to
clumsy
me?
and so messy.
Right.
When I just socks up and then you get there, I would get so mad but then I got used to it. And nilikuwa namwambia akiacha hii kitu, then you'll have to wash the utensils.
Right.
So that's how we work on it.
So Chris, you now had to adapt.
No, I had to adapt.
Socks, dirty clothes, nenda kwa dirty clothes bin. Kitumia vyombo unapeleka kwa sink. There are no elves that come and clean up after you.
But he's still not learning. Up to date.
It's still a challenge. So how did you have to adapt? Because she said the things that threw her off. What about for you?
Actually, I was used to staying with people. I used to stay with my brother. So for a female to come over, before my brother went away, we started staying together, the two of us. So after that, we started, you know, at first you don't know someone properly until you start staying with them. So now we kind of knew each other, apart from the weekends that we used to meet each other. Now we started knowing each other personally, and what we like, what we don't like. Yeah. So I kind of adapted.
And do you feel like perhaps you were unprepared to move in together at the time?
I'll say for now, no, because we have babies. It's the best thing that has ever happened. But I'd say at the beginning it was very challenging. It was very challenging because I was not used staying with a man, because I will do all the chores, and I was still young, blah blah blah. I wanted to go and party, so it was a bit challenging.
So it was an adjustment.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the babies. You see the babies now. What are their names?
Kara and Creed.
And they're 5 months old.
Yeah.
5 months.
So did you guys plan on getting pregnant?
Yeah. The second, we have a story, because we had our first pregnancy, then we lost our baby. When we lost our baby, we went through depression, and that's when we decided to get another baby. But we were told by a gynecologist to at least wait for 1 year until we plan to get another baby.
So when you were going through depression, how did Chris support you?
He supported me emotionally. I was so happy because he was the only person who was there for me. And I felt at some point people didn't understand what I was going through, but he would understand because we were going through the same thing. And I'm so grateful because he was there for me.
And Chris, why was it important to the both of you to have a family so young? Because you're just now 24 and she's 23, and you chose, because you told us you planned the pregnancy. So why was it so important for the both of you to start a family so young?
I think it was necessary because I think if you find someone that you love and you cherish, you should just move on with to the second chapter of it. But we haven't reached to our marriage part, but we're heading there right now.
So when you say you've not reached the marriage part, it means that you're together,
Yeah.
but you consider yourselves married literally.
Yeah,
But
literally.
what's missing is
The ring.
the ring,
Yeah.
The certificate.
and the certificate.
And the certificate actually.
Right?
Isn't it?
Yeah, and
So the rings are there.
not
So the rings are the certificate. So
Yeah.
what's your plan, Chris? What's your plan?
It's a surprise.
It's a surprise, huh?
Yeah.
Lakini 2021 haishi.
Yeah.
Ama tunakuweka
Maybe,
pressure
maybe
hapo
not.
national television.
maybe not. As in, I don't want it to be so obvious, but it's coming.
It's coming. And you're sure? Like, she's the one for you and you're sure he's the one for you?
Yes, I am. Actually, we've been together for 5 years now.
5 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you guys are obviously young, and you know there are so many other couples watching,
Yeah.
and you've shared about some of the difficulties you've gone through, like losing a pregnancy, the depression. But people must be wondering, like, how are you guys able to support yourselves financially? Because at 23, 24, that's
Yeah.
when most people are just finishing
True.
campus.
Yeah.
But here you guys are 23, 24, you already have twins. So
yeah.
how is juggling that for the both of you, B?
For me, what I do financially, I have an online store, plus I'm also a brand influencer, so that's how we make money. And with our number on both YouTube and Instagram, that's how we make money. So since 2018, that's when we decided to be serious with about branding,
Brand
influencing,
ambassador, yeah.
and that's how we make our money.
So basically
That
you're
supports
using
us.
your lives as content,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
digital content
Yeah,
creators.
exactly.
And that's enough at least to sustain your
Yeah.
family.
Yeah, it does.
And how have your parents on both sides supported you guys?
They're really supportive. They come over, they help with the babies. At first, because we had a C-section, so she had to go and stay with her mother for the time, because there were 2 kids and we needed support. So she was staying with her mother, who was helping her until now, actually. Yeah.
As we speak, babies are actually with his mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on both sides you have supportive parents, which is great.
Yeah.
And so what do you guys think the future holds? Like, what are you looking forward to? What are your plans as a family? And
As they say, you never know what the future holds. But we're hoping for greatness and a better life.
And maybe let me ask you this, B, because you know there are people who tell you like you got married too young, you had 2
Yeah.
kids too young. So what do you
Yeah.
say to those people?
This was actually my plan from way back. I even used to tell my mom, before 24, I'll have my babies. By the time I'm 30, my babies will be big. That was my original plan, even before meeting Chris. So when they ask me, why are you rushing into marriage? I tell them this is what I want. I'm so comfortable with it. And I mean, this was just my plan from way back.
Okay. And what about you, Chris? Because you've had her say that people will ask, why are you rushing into marriage? So for you as a young man, they'll ask, why are you rushing?
I always feel as if right now, because I'm young, I can go and search for any work to do. As in, I can hustle harder than when I'm older. You understand? Like now, right now, I'm still energetic and I'm still strong to find other jobs to work for the babies. Instead of like when I'm older, you know, maybe that time I love pride. I cannot go and ask for certain types of jobs. Yeah.
Okay.
So right now I'm okay. I can go and ask for any work. But as in, because we have right now we are comfortable and we can take care of our babies. Like we got a brand deal from Pampers. I can show them.
Yeah, sure.
So they
So
gave
you're
us
working
a
with
full
different
year. Yeah, they
brands.
gave us a full year supply of Pampers. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And obviously, I think for you also as a man, it helps you be a bit more focused,
Yeah.
I believe, because
Yeah.
now you know there are people who are depending on you.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, so it's great to meet you guys.
Nice
and
to meet you.
sincerely
Thank you.
wish you the best.
Thank you.
We'll keep watching you on YouTube. So what's the name of your channel?
Kribi family.
Creepy Family on YouTube, guys. Check them out. So we're just hearing from young couples who chose to actually get married young. If that's your story, please go on the SMS line. Do let us know what that experience has been like. Or if you think differently, you feel like, me, I have to wait till, you know, I'm like 30 plus. Get on that SMS line. Do let me know. But right now, it's time for a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the round table. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. Now we hit the streets to find out from the average Kenyan, what age do they think is the right age to actually choose to get married and settle down? Take a look.
Sahi msichana anatakiwa oleke na miaka 25. Kijana aowe na miaka 30. Ndiye atajua maisha yanaenda aje.
Is in between 27 to 28 for the right marriage. If it's a man, for the right marriage is in between 30, 31, 32.
Kijana akiwa na 28 to 30 anaweza oa na anaweza linda familia yake. Na anaweza fanya kazi na atie bidii kwa familia yake na atajua anafanya nini, atajua marriage ni nini.
Ni vizuri ungojee wakati utakuwa sawa sawa. Utafute mzijana, utafute mtu, si watu wako. Time iko. Kwa hivyo it is good to take your time, then you wait for the right thing to do the right thing at the right time.
The right age is between 35 and above. So that mambo ya relationship isilete issues sana. Mwanamke akifikisha 30 nadhani anakuwa amemaliza mambo yake, so anaweza oleka. Hiyo iko sawa.
Nzuri ya kuolewa kwa mwanamke kuanzia 21, hiyo iko sawa. Akiwa na 21 years ako sawa kuanzisha mboma, na kwa mwanaume kuanzia 25 kusonga na juu pia iko sawa.
Mwanamke anafaa kuolewa akiwa na miaka kuanzia 20. Mwanaume anafaa kuoa akiwa 25.
Anafaa kuolewa na miaka 26, 7 hapo. Hapo sasa at least amekomaa kiakili kila kitu. Kijana miaka 30.
Right, so there you've had it. I'm curious, what age do you think is the correct age to get married? Get on that SMS line right now. Do let me know. And of course, where you're watching us from. Joining me right now, my next guest, I have Mungai and Aisha. So Mungai is 22, Aisha is 19. They're a young couple. In fact, they're expecting a little bundle of joy very soon. Aisha, how far along are you?
9 months.
9 months.
Pregnant, yes.
So you are saying the baby is coming any moment now.
Yeah,
even
now.
during this recording.
Yes.
But don't worry, we are prepared. E+ is right here on our premises, so they got you. Okay, so you guys are, very young. Mungai, you're 22. Aisha, you're 19, and already, you're having these big life moments happening to you.
Yeah.
So probably let's start off with how did the two of you meet?
We met through a mutual friend. I was working with one of our friends. I do skits and videos for YouTube. So when shooting one of those skits, I met her friend, and I think one day I saw a picture of her on her WhatsApp. So I was like, no, I have to talk to this girl, so make it happen or whatever.
Hey, WhatsApp inaka WhatsApp imeunganisha familia nyingi sana.
Squeezy digital, man.
Right.
You don't have to meet physically the first time or whatever.
So ka slide kwa WhatsApp DM.
Ka slide to risky, ka take risk, ka slide. Hopefully, it paid off.
Risk ni pay off.
It pay off. Kila mali tumefika sahi.
So Aisha, because umesikia mjamali kuona ka like picture, ka slide kwa DM. So what about him attracted you to him?
He's a nice guy. The way he was talking to me, he was respectful. Akukuja na kunikatia kwanza, the way other boys were. Yeah, that's what really attract first, the texts. Then we met after that, like 3 days after. And then, yeah.
And how long have the two of you been together for so far?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Yes.
And so you're expecting a child. So is it something that you planned?
No, it wasn't.
No,
it just happened. And then we sat down, we talked about it. Tukajua tu what we wanted. Yeah. And then that's what we decided. Tukasema, yeah, we're going to keep this baby. It's going to be a blessing in our life. And then
So let's talk about that, because you say that obviously because the pregnancy was not planned, but when it happened, it was easy for you to process because it's something you guys had already discussed.
Yeah,
Yes,
that was
yes.
easy because we had already had that discussion before.
yeah, if it ever happened,
Like for me
Sure.
personally, I don't think there's any scenario where I'm not accepting my kid. Like no matter
What
what
circumstances.
circumstances we're going through. So before that happened, we'd already had that discussion. Let's say we get to that point where you're pregnant. Will we go on with that, or what's gonna happen? So I think having that discussion before it happened made it easier to just be like, yeah, we're gonna have this baby.
And at the time, were you living together? How did that now change your relationship?
we've been living together for 2 years since we met.
So how come? Because, you know, for most people your age, at that point, they're either in campus, they're living at home. So what was unique that the two of you started living together?
Okay, for us, it was situational at that point because of where we come from, like our backstories, which I don't think we'll get much into, but that's ours was situational. Like at that point,
Us living
living
together.
together was like the only option we had at that point.
And maybe let's just get into it a bit briefly, because I know you say that Aisha, your parents are still alive.
Yeah, they are.
But you are an orphan.
Yeah, my.
So you were living by yourself.
Yeah, I'm living by myself.
And so she came to live with you.
Yeah, she came to live with
at
me.
that point.
Yeah.
So let's talk about then you, Aisha. What did your parents say when you told them that you're moving in with your boyfriend?
They was. I have strict parents. They were never okay with it, but well, accept too, because in life has to go on. Things happen. I'm growing up. They just accepted it after a while, but walikuwa doubtful at first. Yeah.
And when you say they were doubtful, and I'm sure your mom is in the picture. So what is your mom's biggest fear?
She was scared that I was not going to live to fulfill all the dreams I had. Yeah, that was her biggest fear. And me having a child early also ilikuwa inamshtua, because alikuwa anaona that sitamaliza kusoma, sitaweza kunini all the goals I had. But we talked and I assured her that even if I'm going to have a baby, I'm still going to make sure that I'll do everything that nilikuwa nina dream of.
And so the baby came. And how did your family react to it?
They were shocked, because hakuna mtu, even my friends, no one believed that Aisha was going to have a baby, that nimeamua, that I'm going to settle.
Because you're 19.
Yes.
And everyone is like, okay, Aisha, are you sure? But you're sure.
Yes, I'm sure. I was sure from the first day. I knew. After testing, I was happy. I was scared, but I was happy. Niliamua too that I'm going to take responsibility and be a mom.
So have you met her family?
We're working on that now. I've met some of her family members.
Yeah, some of my family members, not all of them.
I'm still to meet her father, because he's not in Nairobi right now. Yeah.
Okay. And so now the baby is almost due. Do you know the gender?
No, we don't.
How come?
We just chose equal surprise. We wanted it to be a surprise. Yeah, we didn't want to.
You're probably shopping neutral colors.
Yes, neutral colors.
But I'm sure you each must have like a preference. What do you want?
I want a boy.
You want a boy? What do you want?
A boy too.
Oh, okay. From your lips to God's ears, we hope that that's your little son in there. Okay. So then, how do you feel that now having this baby is going to change your relationship? Have you prepared for it? How are you guys going to support yourselves financially? You know, the added responsibility. Are you ready for it?
I don't think you're ever ready for a kid.
At whatever age, no one is ever ready, because haujaifanya. You've never done it before, so you don't know what it's
especially
like.
If it's your first time.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think anyone's ever ready. But as for us,
no matter how hard it's going to be, we know we have each other and we support each other through everything. So it's always going to be easy for us.
And I like the sense of responsibility a kid gives you. Like, I'm definitely not moving the same way I was moving before I knew she was pregnant.
And so tell me, what's changed?
Like, I don't know. Like, first off, I feel like I have a very special purpose right now. Yeah, I feel like I have a purpose more, like, compared to most guys my age. Most guys my age right now are just looking, they want to start their careers off.
Playing PlayStation.
Partying.
Going partying and all that stuff. I don't have time for that now. I need
You're
to
hustling.
step up. Yeah, I need to hustle because I'm not just hustling for me or even her. I'm hustling for somebody else.
Your child.
Yeah,
and what would you say to perhaps, and I'm sure you must have had these people who think that you've rushed it, that why the hurry? You know, like this is the time when you go to school, you get a job, you get financially stable, and then now you do this.
Yeah, like eventually this is where you want to end up. Like,
there's no right time for it.
Or where you're, like, personally for me as a man, I know that's it's like my God-given responsibility. At the end of the day, I have to, like, if let's say I were to pass right now, I'd feel very accomplished knowing that I left an heir, or like I have, like, my family will continue, my bloodline will continue. So me, I don't think there's anyone that can tell me I rushed it.
And what about you, Aisha? Like, what's the shadow side of this? When people come and tell you, Aisha, you've rushed it, what are some of those things they throw your way?
People ask me why I did it so young, why I accepted to keep the child. But I don't know how to say it.
What do you say to them when they tell you rushed it?
I haven't rushed anything. There's no right time for it. If it's happened, you just have to take accountability and the responsibility for what has happened. And yes, I'm ready to take care of the baby no matter what, no matter how hard it is. Everything in this life is hard. So you just have to kungangana tu nayo. Yeah. And I'm happy. It's not that I'm sad.
You're glowing.
Yeah,
Look at you.
I'm not sad. I'm not sad. I'm not regretful about anything because I've not seen my baby yet, but I really love him or her so much.
Hopefully him.
Hopefully him. Okay. And so let's talk about now the two of you as a couple, because obviously when you're talking about people choosing to, you know, get married young, and like any couple, you know, I'm sure you guys must have your challenges. So what are some of those things that you had to learn in the relationship, Aisha? About him.
about him or
yes, and the relationship in general, like how people now exist in marriage and coupledom.
It's not easy. The honesty is very, very important. Being honest about everything in your life, and you have to trust them. Mnaishi pamoja every day, and yeah, honesty and trust. That's what I've learned most.
And Mungai, what have you learned?
Oh, for me, I don't look at it as like, see, the couple thing, the dating thing. For me, I don't look at it as like I'm choosing the one person I feel so much love for. It's I know these girls will kill me for saying this, but for me, it's like when choosing Aisha, I was looking for the person who I can tolerate the most from. Because, like, for me, I don't know, that's how my parents explained marriage to me. The love, the love fades at some point, and what do you have after that? So, because I'm pendani sayama, the love is not as strong as it was in the first place. What do you have then? So for me, I'm always finding new ways to love her. Like, it grows. So it's always growing.
You're prepared.
I'm prepared
for that thing that they say that at some point the attraction might fade. But she's a gorgeous girl. So,
so me, even choosing Aisha at that point, like saying I want this girl, I had that in mind. Because for me, it wasn't about fun, having fun. I seriously wanted this girl, and like that's.
And you've mentioned marriage. So when are you gonna make it official?
I don't know. Soon.
When is soon?
Soon.
Aisha, you need to have that conversation. Yeah.
We've had it before. I'm ready.
She's ready. Mungai.
Even me, I'm ready, but even me, I'm anytime. Like right now, we're living like we're married.
Okay, right. So that's their personal choice. Remember, we are not here to judge. We're here to understand, because the reality is that there is a prevalence of this, especially now in the society. We are seeing youth choosing to get married or settle into marriage-like situations even earlier than before. So we also hit the streets and talked to a couple of young people just to see what they think about their peers who are choosing to get married at a very young age. Take a look.
Sasa ile kitu mimi ndasema kama kijana ako 22, msichana ako 19 years. Alafu nataka kuamua maisha. Sasa ukiamua maisha ukishapata familia inakuwa ni ngori, wanapelekea familia yao iteseke na mama yao. Hiyo kitu itakuwa ni kitu mbaya sana. Maisha mzuri ile mtu umesoma vizuri, umefika kama ni university umemaliza masomo, ukiamua kuanza familia, uanze familia ukiwa uko ready, unajua utalea watoto wako vizuri. Mtoto hata kurudi kwa nyumba, mtoto akutia hata nyama, unampea nyama ndio ile. Unamwambia mtoto akitaka hata spaghetti unampea pale. Lakini sasa ukienda kuleta familia, tunachukua tu unasaa mapema na una kitu, unaachia watu hii. That's nonsense. Hiyo si kitu poa.
No. That's too early. It's not recommended. That's very false. I won't recommend that. That's very false. In Jesus' name.
Why is it false?
You are too young. Experience life. Experience everything. For you to have knowledge and wisdom about everything in life.
Early marriage, around our age or so, it's a complete waste of time. Because you still have school, you still have a life to plan.
It's wasting your time and wasting your life, because you have a life to make yourself, and it's just not the right thing.
Wengine hawajui marriage ni nini. They are just after by the ni kuenjoy maisha. Na huyo mtu for one hajakula maisha, hajakula raha. Once we go and make a family ama kwenda kumari, mtu mtasumbuana sana.
Right, so there you've had it, and I think my opinion on this is that there's really no right answer, because there are guys who get married at 40, it doesn't last, because divorce prevalence is very, very high. And I really feel that at the end of the day, what matters is the intention, the commitment, your choice to the purpose between the two people, and obviously the love. So if it's something that you choose or your child chooses, the best you can do as a parent is really just to support them through it, because that's what they need, support, not judgment, and especially where kids are involved. Well, right now it's time for a very quick break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the round table. Now, our conversation on today's topic, getting married young, continues. So early on, you heard from my guests, the Watts, Aisha and Mungai. They shared their lived experience towards settling down very young. Now, obviously, this is a very sensitive and in some quarters, a controversial topic. So I have with me some experts who will help us understand the psychology of this and the reality of, if your child chooses this, how can you support them? How do you make sure they have the necessary tools so that they can thrive? Joining me right now, I have Millicent Kabugi, who is a marriage counselor, and I also have Willie Kinyanjui, who is a psychologist. So you guys heard from Aisha, Mungai, and the Watts, and so this is the reality. I think we can call it.
Yes.
That if we're looking at our communities right now, we are seeing more and more younger people settling down.
Yeah.
Maybe let's start with why. Why do you think that is, Millicent?
I believe that in the current generation, things, this young generation is quite exposed to the social media and all. And I believe that they are dating younger, as young as 12, 15, they are already dating. And they are also, there's a lot of freedom for them to go out and meet with other young people out there, as opposed to maybe an older generation where you are meant to, you couldn't go out of your compound, of your parents' compound, unless you had permission.
And now you don't even need to leave. There's social media.
There's social
Everybody
media.
met on social media.
Exactly. And so they meet. and they start these conversations, they start having social relationships that now develop into a romantic relationship. And therefore, some may choose to settle early as opposed to others based on a different set of circumstances that they face. Yes.
Okay. And so we are seeing a scenario here whereby, again, and you know, you'd think maybe it's the pregnancy is what pushed them to get together. But I love that with both couples. They're like, you know what? No. It was planned. We talked about it. We were prepared for it. So what would you say about that shift? Because we know in earlier times, usually people would get married young, but they would get married young because there was an unplanned pregnancy that forced people. But here there is no forcing. It's choice.
Yes. Thank you for Tamima for having me. Allow me to first say that there is no gain for waiting. I know this might sound awkward, but there's no gain for waiting. So if you're ready, you can go ahead and get married. But there are some factors we must consider. And number one is the purpose. Do you understand the purpose of marriage? Do you understand what you are about to start? Do you understand what you are about to enter into? So you must know the purpose of marriage. And as you talk about purpose of marriage, you also need to understand the purpose of your marriage, because every marriage has got a purpose. So if you don't understand the purpose of your marriage as a couple, you will have some troubles, you have some issues. But when you have or you understand the purpose of your marriage, why God has brought you together, the two of you, because there's no way God will bring two others together just to have kids. No.
And let's talk about that, because I was actually literally, that was my next question. Is the fact that we want to have children a purpose? Is that it? Like what constitutes as purpose?
You see, the main purpose of marriage, it must be God at first, because he's the main object of marriage. And so if you lose this one, then you'll have trouble. And so we must understand and know who started this institution of marriage. It is God. And it doesn't matter your religion, whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Hindu, whether you are a Muslim, marriage is marriage. And the main object of marriage is God. He is the author. He is the one who started this institution. And so that is the first thing you must understand, such that when you come together and you know the reason or the one who made you come together, when issues arise, there is someone you can talk to. There is someone you can run to. And let me say this, as you talk about children, marriage is complete without children. Children are just a blessing.
And so, fruits.
Yes, they are fruits. I mean, this is just to show, yes, imefanyika, unajua. But the two of you, that is marriage. Without children, with children, that is marriage. So if you don't have children, you have marriage. And so as we talk, I was talking about the factors we need to consider. There's the purpose, then there's the commitment. This is not a try and error game. We are not trying. And so you must know that if I'm entering into this thing called marriage, I must remain committed. I am saying bye-bye to all the other ladies out there, and I am committed to this one. This is the person I want to live with the rest of my life. If at the back of your mind you know you are not sure about the commitment, put a pause.
So you've had two things: purpose, commitment. Now to you, Millicent, because we are talking about, you know, age here, but I love what he said. He was like, you know what, let's be honest. We live in a society where 35-year-olds cannot make marriage work. 40-year-olds cannot make marriage work. That it counts for something that an individual's maturity, level of understanding of why am I doing this. So how and when is a person considered ready for marriage? What are the signs? If there's a young person right there, or if there's a family dealing with this, mtoto amekuja ameambia wazazi, mami, daddy, mimi nataka kwenda kuolewa. And the kid is only 19 years old. And the kid is convinced, I'm ready. So what are some of the things that really define you as being ready?
All right. So as you've said, Tamima, that it doesn't matter whether you're 35 or 40, that age does not define your ability to sustain a marriage. And I would say that the factors that we can look at that make you ready for marriage is, first and foremost, you must be at least above 18. That is dependent on the law.
By law.
By law.
We must stress that.
Yes. Number two, psychologically, you must be mature. You might be, your age, according to the numbers, maybe you're very young, but psychologically you are mature and ready for this. You're ready for the responsibility. I like what Aisha said. I was ready. I am ready. Even we shared earlier, I am ready. I had actually made this decision early enough. So it matters a lot, even the background that you grow up in. That is, how are you brought up? Mungai shared that his parents started talking to him way early, it seems, about marriage, even before they transitioned to they passed on from this life. So he was ready. He was not looking for a girlfriend. He was looking for a woman with a certain set of characteristics so that he can settle a person he can settle with. So how well are you prepared? How well are you prepared? We have 35-year-olds, we have 25-year-olds who are not ready. They are not well prepared. They have not planned, because marriage is it's meant to be a plan. The way you go to school to study for engineering or for any career of choice, also marriage, you need to start preparing for it early. That you can be taught and taken through by your parents. Start talking about this early enough. You can read books. You can prepare yourself for marriage. Yes.
You know, usually when you're on social media, you usually see that whenever and especially for people who put their relationships out there, and like the words, you know, they're young, they're into digital content. So usually there's like a community of followers. Wale wanasemaga the aunties of mtaachana tu. But what tools do you believe that these young people need to start practicing now, so that now these unions that they're getting into can actually be long lasting? Because we know the reality is that at any age, marriage is not easy. So let's look at it from the point of what are the pros of getting married young, and how can they utilize those to their advantage, and at the same time help them overcome some of those cons. And finances obviously is a huge con depending on how you look at it. Let's start with you, Millie.
Okay, so we'll start with the finances. Being young and you know, technological savvy generation can be a plus for this particular generation. We had that couple who say they're on social media and that's how they make their money. So if they can be, because marriage is all about coming to a point of agreement. If you do not agree, then you'll have trouble, you'll have problems. So if you can come to a point where you are both in agreement on how we are going to make money, how are we going to use this money, and what can we or can we not use this money for? That is very important. Then both of you must be hardworking, because we've heard this is the microwave generation. We want things happening and happening right now. So we need to be aware that some of this success in finances does not just happen overnight. So are we willing to persevere and support one another? Because it's possible that one couple is financially stable, one of the two, and the other one is not. So what happens when that happens? Can we agree that if I am financially stable right now, are we going to support one another? Is this a union? Do we have a common purpose and goal that we are working towards, both of us?
And that has its pros and cons, because the pro is that they're both young, they're both literally starting out, so they can grow together. That maybe there's a period where the guy has a job, the chick is jobless, and vice versa. And I kind of feel like that's something that probably young people need to be prepared for, because the reality is in this society we are coded that the man provides. But what would you say to a young girl? You're 19 and your husband is 20, 21. You're both just in campus. So I want to believe that comes with some measure of, can I say, compromise?
I think this is where, before you start it off, you need to have a discussion and discuss. Before you settle down, you need to discuss. You need to ask yourself some questions together, the two of you. As we start off this marriage thing, are we really ready? Then if we are ready, how are we going to handle finances? How are we going to handle the third parties? Because the third parties who will come. The moment unasema
and let's talk about the relevant third parties, because especially where finances are involved, the parents. Because you're finding at this stage with all the couples, they mention their parents are highly involved. You know, mothers are taking children in with grandchildren because it's necessary. Mothers are supporting financially. But then also, how do they navigate that? Because, you know, sometimes, and especially as parents, and I've seen it also, you know, with my friends, where parents provide financially, now they feel that they can say. And sometimes it ends up having more negative effects than positive effects. Because then the couple lacks autonomy, because now I have to listen to what my mom says. Because where we live, my mom pays rent. My mom is the one who's paying school fees. How can young couples navigate this?
Okay. If you'd allow me, Willie, to take it. This is all about boundaries. And it is important, especially for parents, to realize that as young as these couples are, they are still a couple. They are still a family unit. And there are boundaries that are necessary to be put in place. Even if you're paying the rent, even if you're providing the food, even if you're taking care of the grandchildren, even if you're paying school fees, they are still a couple and they need their autonomy. How else are they going to grow? So because those boundaries, if they are so porous that anybody can come in and step in and say anything and influence anything within that marriage, then that is not a marriage. Then that relationship will not be able to work, because you realize that either one of the couple will start saying that your mother is always into this. I know my wife or my husband's mom is going to say this and this and that. So they are not able to start, because these are skills. Being autonomous is a skill that you need to start developing, because at some point in time, you will be alone. Then what happens then?
Right.
Yeah. So it's necessary to have some boundaries that are not so rigid, that are totally locking out our mothers or the extended family members. They are just porous enough to allow a healthy relationship. A healthy relationship with the extended family, and also a healthy relationship within the couple subsystem.
Willie, thoughts on this?
Now, if these two people have decided to come together and live together, and here I want to speak to parents. Parents, leave these children alone. You have your marriage, work on it. Let them work on their marriage, because they have decided we want to start up a family. One of the main aspects of getting married, it is to start your own family. The Bible talks about you shall leave your parents and come together and cling together. And so parents, kindly, let us have these boundaries. They are married. You might be calling him Kababa, but right now he has gone. There is someone else.
Kababa is a Baba
yes,
twins,
yes.
or,
Kababa is getting kids. So we even need to stop changing some of these names we are calling them.
Now
because how do you call Kababa, and this Kababa has two boys that are calling him Baba.
Right.
You see? And so parents, as she's saying, we need to have boundaries. The moment they decide we want to work together, we want to start up a family, let us give them peace. Let us give them time and do what we can do as parents. We can come in and guide them and help them. Where we see they are going the wrong direction, we can help them and walk with them, but not to bring in some shoo. You know, and so I was talking about the third parties, and so we need to discuss before we settle down about the in-laws, because there are people whom you'll find that they'll get married and your brother the next day unasikia anakuja kuishi na wewe kwa sababu amekuja Nairobi na hakuna mtu wao mwingine. Huu ni shemeji, we live together. You know, we need to have boundaries. If you need to discuss, is it okay that we can have my brother come and live with us? If that is not okay, you leave it. You see, you need to leave it, so that the two as a couple, you need to speak as one person. You need to speak one mind, so that this marriage can thrive. Otherwise, you have troubles.
And another valid one for me would be the fact that obviously, so these two people are meeting when they are very young. And the thing about life is about growth. Life is about changes.
Yes.
And especially those who've been in marriage for like 20, 30 years, they'll tell you who my spouse was when I met them versus who they are 30 years later. I feel like I've dated 5 different people. But for some reason, you know, they stayed the course. So what can young people learn from this?
The person you're marrying right now, in the next, maybe, especially when the babies come, will change, especially the lady. And that means that life is about changes, marriage is about changes, and you must be prepared for the changes that come. Sometimes the changes are very good, positive, financially we are growing and all. but that has a tendency of drawing people apart. So you must be ready, always ready to always learn your spouse. You never stop learning your spouse. You never stop getting to know this person. You never stop dating this person. So it's important to keep the fire going, and the fire is kept going by learning, keep learning and unlearning, because there are some things you have to unlearn. If I would give an example, probably at some point in marriage, there needs to be a stage in marriage comes when you need to choose who has the say, who's calling the shots in this particular marriage. And because of how we have been socialized as Africans, we know the man should call the shots. What if it happens the other way around? Right. Then what happens? So there are things that we need to unlearn and relearn as we continue in so that we can be able to grow in a marriage relationship.
I want to pick from something you've said, and probably I'll ask you this, Willie, because these are young couples.
Yeah.
And right now we are stuck in between almost like a generational war that our parents believed in, you know, and I don't want to label anybody, but it was almost like you said, the man must lead. But then now with these younger couples, and we've seen them on camera, like you can see that there is really true partnership. They consider each other to be equals. So then you have this young man who's coming into this relationship with the mindset that my wife is my equal. But then the world around him, you know, his mentors, the men are telling him, but no, women ndio Simba.
Yes.
So how can you help these young men navigate? Because potentially somewhere down the line, it causes the clash that she's talking about.
At first, we must admit that the girl child has really been empowered. And the boy child, it's like amesahaurika. But now you come together. This girl has been empowered and the boy ako tu hapo. And so when you come together, we talked about commitment. And so as we are coming together, we must have our rules as a family. And we can say, you see, when we are coming together, like when we are talking about finances, there's no my finances, there's no my money and your money. It's our money. We are pulling together. We are coming together and we are working with one another. And so what we need to know is that people out there, they might be saying what we don't believe in. And so it is up to you. And this is where now from the word go, as you're coming together, you must have your beliefs. You must have your belief system as a family. This is how we conduct Willie's family. It is not about my brother, it is not about my sister, it is not about how my mother was raised or how my mother got married or how their marriage has worked all these years. It is now me. This is Willie and my wife. My wife, because Jane, I know she's watching.
Right.
So it is me and Jane. What are we agreeing? And so we need to come into an agreement. This is how we are going to run this family. We will not, our family will not be run by other people out there or what you are seeing on social media. Because I've seen a certain couple, they have posted this and now my wife is giving me stress. Oh, you need to do this. No. We must have an agreement as a couple and we are saying this is the way to follow. And me as man, as the leader, my wife might be having more money than me, but when we go out there, people cannot even notice. Why? Because there is an agreement we have as a family and we have our MOU as Willie's family.
Well, there you had it, MOU as a family, and I hope that you know, through this show, we are not here to judge. We're here to help you understand. We're here to actually help you have the tools to make informed decisions in your life. And you're not saying be perfect, even when you make mistakes. That's why you have to have the tools. Because when you make a mistake, the tools help you overcome that mistake. And I really do hope that with this show and with this topic that we've spoken to somebody out there, well, that's all the time that I have for you today. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I do hope that we earn the privilege of your time. Until next time, this has been the Real Talk Roundtable.